welcome to another episode of The Gathering hosted by SRS Paranormal. We have a great show planned for you tonight. We have a very special guest, somebody that you guys may have seen his equipment used, and you didn't know exactly who makes it, so you're going to get to hear directly from him, his background, how he got into building equipment, and the unique equipment that he builds for the paranormal community. But before I say that, I also want to remind everybody that we host this show here on Paranormal Warehouse. So if you want to keep up with what SRS Paranormal is doing, you need to follow us over on Facebook. It's scrolling at the bottom at SRS Paranormal Fans. Also visit our website, www.srsparanormal.com. But our guest's information is also scrolling tonight, so make sure you go send him some love. Follow his Facebook. Check out his website at, I believe it is www.idcdevices.com. We are coming off a fantastic road trip. We went to Hales Bar Dam and Old South Pittsburgh, so we just got that done this week. We're still combing through all that evidence. We're still putting everything together from the Anderson. Next week, our team will be on to recap our visit to both Hales Bar and Old South Pittsburgh. But tonight, we have with us J.W. Prather from IDC Devices. You've seen his devices used on Ghost Adventures. You've also, I believe, Haunted Towns is another show that uses his device. So without further ado, Jay, tell us all about yourself and how you got into this and your background.
Oh, wow, that's a load off right off the bat, isn't it? Yeah, I'm J.W. Prather with IDC Devices. I've been doing this about 10 years. Started off just selling locally to area teams that wanted the equipment I was building. I was building the equipment that I was building because no one else was really building it, back then. As a retired master electrician, I knew what I wanted to see for equipment in the field to protect the environment, but I was also very interested in ITC. And as Frank Sumption used to really goad me about, was my Swiss Army knife that I was building with my boxes, because I was incorporating all these different things into one paranormal device. So time went on, and I fine-tuned what I was trying to do over the years, and then all of a sudden, a couple of years ago, everything just blew up when everything showed up on Ghost Adventures. Yeah, that's when life got really crazy. We all know how popular that show is.
Absolutely.
So when my stuff showed up on there, when I got the call from Justin Spurrier that he was going to put it on, me and Justin have been friends for years. And I was like, oh, no, that's going to. So, I knew right off the bat, because I enjoy relaxing when I build. I believe there's an energy transfer when I build. So I enjoy relaxing when I build. And my gut told me, wow, this is fixing way more than you thought it was going to ever be. I thought maybe after I'm dead 50 years from now, somebody's going to dig something up and go, hey, look what this guy was doing. Not right now.
Not right out of the gate, huh? So I want to talk a little bit about, you do have a paranormal background too, right? So you do investigate. You've done some of that as well, right?
Yes, sir. I do investigate. And here's the great thing about being a builder. I used to investigate some really cool places. When you become a builder, everybody's your friend.
Yeah. It unlocks the key to the kingdom, right?
Yeah. So I load up my trailer. I've got my trailer, and I load it up because I've got some one-of-a-kind stuff out there that I don't sell, I don't mass produce, from whole house, one of the devices I use will cover over 7 million square feet of audio. So
wow.
These are one-of-a-kind devices, and when they say, hey, can you come out? I'm like, well, let's get the gas card and let's go.
Wow.
That is awesome. But I'm going to talk a little bit about first how I kind of, like everybody else, I discovered your devices through the television shows. I saw it used on Ghost Adventures, and then I saw it used again on Haunted Towns. And we kind of have a little bit of a connection to those guys because we know Chris and Mike real well from there, because our home haunt They actually do public investigations there at the location we're based out of, because our lead psychic owns it, and like I said, they do investigations there. So I was up there. I guess Christine and I were up there back in January. They had an event there, and I was actually talking with Mike, and he actually mentioned that device, and I had remembered I had seen it on TV. So a lot of time passed, a lot of things go on, and I decided to start searching on the internet, and I found the device. And then I started watching some of your videos where you talk about the IDC Direct Link is the one I'm talking about in particular. That's the one that drew me. And you were talking about the uniqueness of that device. What really captured my attention, and what I really want you to dive into a little bit, if you wouldn't mind, that device is different to me because, and I'll back up and talk about our team a little bit. We do a lot of stuff with psychic mediums. We do a lot of stuff with the Victorian era and the spiritualist methods. We do dowsing rods, pendulums, spirit boards, seances, combined with the scientific equipment, and then we cross-validate those things. So what really spoke to me about that IDC Direct Link was the fact that you're using yourself for that communication link, for the IDC part of it. And I'm not sure that people like you and I talked about on the phone, not sure a lot of people understand that. And that was the other thing I really wanted to point out was really impressive to me. You insisted that you needed to talk to anybody before you build a device for them. And you and I had a great conversation for like 2 hours. We got into theory and all kinds of stuff. So I want to applaud you for that, because I don't think people understand the uniqueness of that device. But explain to people what I'm talking about. Maybe they'll understand what we're going with here.
You're correct about, I get so many emails every week, and especially if a new show airs or now that they're doing the screening room, I get all these emails. I don't build a device for anyone until I've talked to them. I believe there is an energy transfer that happens, and it starts with the conversation with the customer. But that's not the end of that energy transfer. It continues on through the build process. It also continues on with the person. We'll get to that in a second. When I started in 2013 trying to create the Direct Link, I thought of how when we were kids, and I'm giving away my age, you'd walk through the room and you stood in a certain place, or mama asked you to grab a hold of the antenna.
Yeah, tune the rabbit ears in. Yeah.
All of a sudden, Dallas is coming in nice and clear. Now you're sitting there for the next hour not moving because mama don't want you to move because she's watching Dallas. Because we only got 3 stations back then. But the human being acts for a very good receptor. We have a lot of salt water here and in our heads, which makes good receptors. So that was my theory, was rather than using an antenna, let's make the human the receptor. So I named it the Direct Link, and I started building it. Everything went good for a while. Finally, one lady got one, said it wouldn't work. It just was not for her. I was like, wow, I've been doing this for 5 or 6 years. I've never had a customer not happy. So I built for a brand new not back then, they were just the intercom boxes, not the 2-coat intercom box. I built her another one. She sent that one back. She was happy. Fast forward another year, and then some psychics and mediums and sensitives and people with abilities had started getting a hold of these devices, and they were describing the feelings they were having when they were holding it. Either being drained or the feeling of a battery drain, those kinds of things. And I still wasn't putting 2 and 2 together yet. But what we know now is, or what we surmise now, is that is not the Direct Link. That's just a ghost box. The user is the Direct Link. And
Exactly.
somehow a user is exchanging energy with the device, and the spirits are using that energy to speak. Now, I limit my FM frequencies to a minimum. My boxes don't like to lock onto FM radio frequencies. That doesn't say that if a spirit wants to use the audio snippets we believe they can use, they can still do that. But I'm scanning around 2,400 frequencies with the Direct Linc versus a normal radio, say in your car or in your house, which scans a little over 200 frequencies. I'm scanning 2,400 frequencies because I'm going down. I don't want to get into the mathematics, but I'm going way down on the scanning, but also I'm scanning it randomly.
Not linear, which is a very important point, right? Because
Not linear.
I want to make sure I understand that. So, in other words, if it happens to hit on, say, I'm just going to throw a number out just for simplicity, it hits at 100.1. The next scan, it may be somewhere else in that range. It may be much lower or much higher, right? So it's
Well,
not just going like 100, 101, 102, 103.
and it's not going to be just 101, 102, 103. It's going to be 101.11. 101.9.
All the way down, right?
Because I'm at 10 kilohertz steps. So you've got to add another zero in there.
So now, how does that differ from what most people use as hack boxes? And I won't say any brand names. I'm just saying the radio hack boxes, the hack shacks.
A normal radio, whether it's made in the US or the UK, overseas, depending on where it's going to be, it's going to be either from 85 to 108, or it's going to go down to 75 to 108 megahertz. But they're going to scan usually at either 100 or 200 megahertz.
Okay.
I'm scanning at 10 megahertz,
Wow.
not 100, not 200. So that's where my boxes get up to 2,400 frequencies possible versus 200 frequencies possible. Are you with me?
So
Amazing.
yeah. So basically, what I gather from that is the likelihood of something being bleed over that isn't, especially if it's multiple words in the same voice, is even far less than it would be with any of the hack type boxes that most of us use. Would that be a fair statement?
It would be. And we have so many instances. Me and Joseph Warner and Austin Maynard are doing shows now where we're actually breaking down the evidence that's being of clips that are being sent back to me from my customers. It was actually Joe and Austin's idea because I told them for a while that I was getting this wild stuff coming back, and I had my theories about it. They were like, well, it'd be really cool if we could take those clips, show the clip, and then you as the builder break down the clip on what you believe the theory is behind what just happened, and then show the clip again and let everybody, because if you're interested in ITC, it's one thing to just do ITC, but it's really important to know all the possibilities and theories
Yeah.
about around and behind how ITC may be working.
Right.
And that's where I come from in my devices and that's why my devices are so different. Not any better, not any worse than anyone else's, just different because I'm following my own theories of what I'd like to see ITC for my devices, where I think we may be able to make more communication.
Right. No, and that's what really drew us to it was the uniqueness of it. It wasn't just another sweep, and I'm not taking away from that. ITC, going back to Frank Sumption, the original Frank's box. I mean, that's been around for a long time, and I know it's one of those controversial topics. There are people that love ITC, and there are people that don't love ITC. But the reality is, whenever we talk about paranormal, supernatural, cryptozoology, you pick the topic, anything in our weird hemisphere. That's why we say all things weird, right? That tends to be the case. You always have a very split audience. You have people that are for it and against it, right?
It is, yeah. And now with my devices, I go against. I don't care about the controversy. I go where my gut tells me to go. It's what led me into quantum mechanics and quantum physics. Now, I am by no means a smart guy. Trust me. But Google is our friend. If you really want to learn something, you can do it, and you just really want to dig in there. You can find everything, and you can even find it in some layman's terms to start explaining.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, that's starting to make sense now. You
It's
know,
the ultimate self-study course, Google.
exactly. So I would have these theories I couldn't formulate, and then I start Googling it, and it might take a couple of days, but eventually those theories that I had would start forming names. There's actually names for what was in my head,
Oh,
what I
wow.
was feeling, and what I was thinking about my devices. And this is only a 1 hour show. There's no way I can sum up 10 years of what's gotten me to where I'm at in one.
Right.
But that's why I have so many videos out there, and why when it strikes me, I'll go shoot a 10 or 15, 20-minute video giving my ideas and thoughts and theories. And I save them all in my Facebook, and I save them to my website so other people can hopefully, because I think things happen the way they're supposed to.
Yep.
So that video may not be for everybody. That video may only be for one person. And hopefully that one person finds that video, looks at
Absolutely.
it, says, oh, and something clicks, and they move forward. I love all the other builders. I love what they're doing. So if something like that clicks with them, then that's just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I think that's what's incredible to me about what you're doing versus some other, and I'm not taking away from other people. Everybody has their path. Everybody has what they bring to this journey of ours collectively as a community. But you're talking about something that we talk about a lot as a team is we think that there is no coincidences. We believe that everything happens for a purpose. And what you just said is exactly the same thing. You make those videos because you know that somehow, some way, somebody needs that information. So I really am drawn to what you're doing, and I'm very fascinated by it. And of course, we've not used the device yet because we're on the list of the ones that you fortunate enough to make the list of the ones that you're currently working on. And we can't wait to get a hold of it. But in my mind, and see if this is correct, I'm sort of thinking this as a sort of a digital dowsing rod. We use dowsing rods all the time. And the way dowsing rods work, a lot of people think that a spirit is standing in the corner and they're moving it. They're not. That energy is coming through you. You are actually connecting to that entity, and that is what is driving those rods. And I know this to be true because in our experience, you can tell if it's positive, you can tell if it's negative, whether you're sensitive or not. You can even tell if it's not human sometimes. So we assume that we're speaking to human spirits. We don't know that, but there's a difference in that energy. What I'm saying is you can tell when that you should be afraid of that energy or when you should engage that energy to a degree. So in my mind, you're taking the dowsing rod to the next level with this device because now you're going to be, it's kind of the same thing. They're going to be passing that information through us and then speaking out the device is how I'm envisioning this. Again, never held the device in all fairness, just giving you my first impression.
I'm going to try to say this without having all your tuners, your viewers just going, okay, he's gone off the rails. We're done. Photons. Let's think about a photon for a second. Right now, you see me because of photons. Right now, you hear me because of photons.
And Photons just made Al's phone ring. Well,
Exactly.
damn it,
Photons,
Al.
photons carry communication. Um, and it's zeros and ones. It's binary. So
Right,
let's think about the photon for a second. Photons, our eye take the photons in, it reads the information, and it gives us a picture of what we're seeing. A cell phone, a radio. Photons carry information from one place to another. Photons are not pure energy. Photons can be positive or they can be negative.
okay.
So for a moment, spirits become pure protons when we leave here. We already know protons leave our brain, okay?
Right,
So it's not too far-fetched to think that maybe a medium or a psychic who picks up the photons that just left my brain, their computer in their head takes that photon just like a packet that we send in an email, opens
right,
it up, reads it, and says, oh, I just read your mind. No, that psychic may have just read a photon that was carrying a few bit of information that just left my brain. Photons are zeros and ones. It's binary. My
Right.
boxes are built on binary code. I've left them random. I've left them open. If a spirit is made of photons and they are binary and they are zeros and ones, and my box is made up to accept zeros and ones binary code, why could a photon not interact with my device and speak directly through it?
Absolutely.
Now, here's the thing. We have EVPs, which we all know what an EVP is. We have ghost box voices, which I call your audio snippets, where they use the audio snippets from the
Right.
FM band. Then we have direct radio voices, DRVs.
Yep.
DRVs have been found on phones, dead phones that aren't even plugged into the phone and into the wall. DRVs have been found in very many places over the years. We are now experiencing with my direct links, with the echo and reverb that I've installed in them, we're starting to see the difference between a radio voice and a DRV, a direct radio voice.
Wow.
And the way we're seeing that is a radio voice comes through and it has a little echo and reverb.
Right.
Good. There's echo and reverb. It comes from the radio through the echo and reverb, through the mixer, into the amplifier and out the speaker. So a voice should have echo and reverb if it's installed on the device, right?
Right.
The next voice comes through, no echo and reverb. It's just a straight, strong, hard voice. And that voice is overlapping frequencies. Because you got to remember, we're scanning at the same time.
Right.
So a complete 3 or 4 word phrase may come through where it actually scanned more than 4 or 5 frequencies in that amount of time. Now we're talking about time, which time is irrelevant, but we're talking about time.
Right.
4, 5, 6 frequencies have passed by where we heard one voice come through, say 3 words, no echo and reverb in the voice.
It can't be anything other than a direct communication with something.
That's a direct radio voice.
Yes.
Now, where it gets complicated is my boxes and some of my direct links have the same exact microphones that are used in the DR60. When my device has that microphone, now you don't know if you actually just got an EVP or a direct radio voice.
Oh, wow.
And Austin Maynard and a couple of other people have some of my devices and that have those microphones. They actually turn the tuner off, turn the microphone on, and it's called my ITC Live Assist circuit. And they let it run, and voices come through the Live Assist circuit. No tuner,
Wow.
no radio, no nothing, just the microphone running. Austin's got a video there. I know he's got his public. Some of the other videos I haven't shared yet. I don't have permission to share from other people. But voices are coming through the microphone with no tuner running. Those
Wow.
are EVPs. Those are live EVPs.
Right. Real time. Yeah.
Communicate in real time. Ask them a question and wait and hear the answer.
Wow.
So you got to remember, there's a lot of different things that are out there. EVPs, live, or your ghost box voices, and then your direct radio voices.
Right.
Am I saying my devices are the only ones that'll do this? Of course not. I don't own this. I didn't create this. It's just my voices, my boxes are kind of showing it, but there are any device out there can do it. 2 tin cans and a string, I think, in the right condition, you can still make contact. So don't stop with what you've got. Don't stop building what you're building. I believe it's capable in any device that's out there.
Right. Well, and that's another thing I like. I mean, you're very, very open about not only what you do, but you're not saying, look, I've got the, end all be all device. You're
No.
just explaining what works. And that's like I said, when we talked on the phone, I mean, I really could tell how genuine you were. And I thought, man, I'd really love to have you on because I think people need to hear that. They need to hear these unique theories because we theorize as a team all the time. We sit around and we talk and we go back and forth about different theories. And sometimes we run with those theories because they're great. And other times we go, well, that was a bad theory because it doesn't make sense at all. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that you do that. So what other types of devices do you build other than just the one that we're currently getting from you?
Well, we've been talking about the Direct Linc. I also build the 2K series Intercom Box. Now, the very first box I ever built was called the Intercom Box. IDC Devices the IDC stands for Interdimensional Communicator. The Intercom Box, the intercom, is simply short for Interdimensional Communicator. So I've been building the Intercom Box long before the Direct Linc, since 2010. I didn't start building the Direct Linc and producing it till 2014. So those previous 6 years, those were my Frankenstein years. If I found it at Goodwill, I don't care, garage sale, I bought it, I tore it up, I broke it, I fixed it, I put it into some Frankenstein looking thing, and I was building single tuners, dual tuners, 3 tuners, whatever I could build. But I didn't stop there. And this is where the Swiss Army knife come in that Frank used to give me hell about. I added EMF detectors, static detectors, humidity, temperature, IR lights, UVA lights, UV lights, and there's a difference between UV and UVA.
100%. Yep.
IR, you name it. I wanted to give you something that when you, because let's face it, I'm going to have to charge money for this thing, right? Because it's going to take me a while to build.
Right.
I want you to just use it for 10 or 15 minutes. I want you to take this thing out and be able to carry it through an entire investigation site, even if it's you turn the ghost box off, set it there, and turn on the IR light and turn on the IDC indicator, which is a static detector, kind of like the REM pods. That kind
Right. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to give you a device that was a Swiss Army knife, all in one case. So even if you had it in the back seat and you've seen a place, you're like, oh man, I'm going to stop at this cemetery. Boom, you grabbed it. You've got all these things ready to go. Right
In one box.
in one box. So that's where the Intercom Box came from. Now, of course, over the years, it's grown. Now it's weatherproof. I won't say it's drop proof, but somebody's going to drop kick it down the stairs to see, and I'm not going to. But it's weatherproof. It's I didn't say waterproof. Can't submerge it, but it's weatherproof. It's 40-watt amplifier, 100-watt speaker. I've got audio mixers, your echo and reverbs in there. You completely control all of that. Microphones, and plus everything I already described about the UV and the IRs and the UVAs. Laser grids. I use a UVA laser grid and an IR green laser grid, and I cross those so that those frequencies, along with the IR frequencies, you're mixing all those frequencies, because once again, we're going to go back to photons. It's all of the energy. You need to be able to see the energy in that room. So the more frequencies you have out there on the EM spectrum, the more chances you have of picking something up in that room.
That's right. That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Then I'll build each one of those things I described earlier. Also build handheld versions of those usually. And then another one is like my spirit web, which we use with Conjuring House. It's 30 linear feet of wire with LEDs. It detects static electricity, changes in the polarity in the atmosphere, and it also detects EMF. But it's flexible, and it's 30 linear feet because 15 feet in each direction. So what we did was we put it all around the opening of where Miss Perrin had been thrown through that opening, according to the warrants, that she had been thrown through the opening in the Conjuring House. I took my spirit web and put it up there. The first night we had it up there, it wouldn't stop no matter what. If we would ask them to stop, they would stop. Then we'd say, hey, would you come through? And then immediately it would go through. They would just, you kept going through the opening.
No, wow.
But it's flexible, so you can put it on a steering wheel, you can put it on a door, you can wrap it around a chair, whatever you want to do. It's 30 linear feet of flexible LEDs that will detect EMF and static electricity changes with polarity in the atmosphere. Wrap it on anything you want to. Use a little blue tape to hold it in place so you don't mess up the paint and stuff. And so it's like a REM pod, 30 feet.
Wow. So you actually are creating a field, which is really kind of different. Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. So do these ideas, is it from things you see? Is it you go out in the field and go, man, I'd like to add that? Or is it just you're sitting there at the workshop and you go, I know what I need to do. I need to do this. I'm just curious because it's such a wide range. Most people have like one little niche, like
Yeah.
they build REM pods and they might put them in 14 different packages, but they don't build, a direct link that works slightly different than a sweep that's different than the Swiss Army box that's totally different from the 30-foot linear web that you have in the what you call the web. So my question is, how do you come up with all that? I mean, that's pretty cool.
Some of these ideas come to me, and I write them down, and I have maybe 20 or 30 notebooks, and I'll write it down. And over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, who knows, notes will be added to that page on that idea. And I will fail hundreds of times while I destroy, buy things, destroy it, buy some more, destroy it, and then keep revamping it. But I have the initial idea was whatever started in that notebook. And eventually, hopefully, I get back to that idea. There's probably 50 more ideas in those notebooks that I have not gotten to yet. We haven't even
Wow.
talked about the Paraview, my IDC Paraview. The Paraview is the final thing that I built. If y'all seen White Noise, the movie White Noise,
Yeah.
Yeah.
basically you're looping video and audio.
Right.
Video. That gave me the idea for the Paraview. Now Frank was already working on a scanning TV. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool. I want to see what happens if we do this mirror effect and we just keep re-looping that energy. So I built the first Paraview. I've built maybe 30 of them over the last. I built my first one in 2012. I've built maybe 30 of them since 2012. The farthest one away is in Germany, and he has a lot of evidence with this. But basically, you're viewing the room with one camera. You're sending it to another camera that's going into the screen, but it's also picking it back up and re-looping it again and again and again and again. And you get this, like our echo a while ago we just had. If it never stops, it just keeps going. So I also added white noise, and I was going around, 2 to 3,000 megahertz on the white noise, and just different things I was trying to work with to inject anything I could for energy into the video loop. And what I finally came up with is IR, UV, UVA, and then the lasers, and that would be my IDC Spectro. All of that goes through, including the audio, through a mixer into the camera, into your viewer, and then it keeps re-looping and re-looping and re-looping and re-looping back on itself until you start seeing images.
So the idea there, I'm guessing, is that the more stuff that you are energy sources, communication sources, white noises, different things that you're putting into that environment is more whatever we're communicating with, whether it be spirits, it be transdimensional, whatever, they can maybe pick, since you're giving them a cornucopia of things to use, to manifest and or to communicate with. Would that be correct?
Well, you're doing two things. Number one, you're giving them energy. That's a given. Number two, by using as many frequencies as I can on the EM spectrum, I'm giving more chances for them to also, for maybe not show themselves, but us be able to see them,
Right.
would then be projected onto the screen. But I also have a handheld 7-inch monitor that connects to everything, so you can walk out into the room and you're viewing what you're filming.
Oh,
You
wow.
are not
Okay.
part of the ghost box. You're viewing it. If someone walks right up to you, even if you don't see them, you may see it on the 7-inch monitor that's being projected to you.
Wow.
It's like the SLS.
Right.
So, but completely different than the SLS. But I'm just saying with that remoteness, where you can
Yeah.
maybe see something walk up to you on the monitor, and you're like, "Wow!" You see
Right.
nothing there because it's being fed to you.
To you. Right. That's awesome, man. That's really
Crazy.
cool. Oh, do you
Yeah,
guys have some questions? I don't want to hog the air
Yeah,
here, Christina.
I'm fascinated.
Yeah,
I
I
can just
mean,
listen to you talk
it's
all
just
night.
like my mind's already exploded. So,
well, I'm
Hey,
glad I
hey,
haven't lost y'all yet. They're like, "Okay, we got to get somebody else on here. This guy
you,
is too far out."
No, I think
no,
it's fascinating. Hey,
yeah,
I talked to him when I called him about building our device. We talked for like 2 hours. I mean,
hey,
we got like into UFOs and everything else. So I mean, we had a great conversation, him and
then
I.
you
So
should have heard him call me and how excited he was. God, you gotta hear who I just talked to,
yeah,
and he was just excited about it. So,
yeah. And I was like, man, not only are we going to get a device, but we got to get this guy on here to talk. So, but Christina, I know that you relate to the energy side of the coin, like myself. So, what's your thoughts on some of these devices and where he's taking these? Where he's not really as sensitive, he says, and he's not really in tune and has gifts. I would argue somebody that's coming up with these things,
You've
spirit
got
is
yeah,
is steering him. So that's just my
yeah.
personal opinion. But Christina, I just want to hear what your thoughts on the
I,
energy
I
side of
would
this.
second that. Spirit's guiding you, whether you admit it or not. I'm really fascinated by the connection because, like dowsing rods, I'm a big fan, and I would say I'm sensitive. So that connection, I really seem to understand how the energy moves through, and I love that you've tapped into that, and you're using the human side as well with it with the digital. It's just a really cool connection.
Yeah, because to me, it's sort of what we do anyway. We look a lot for that, secondary and tertiary, and all investigators and researchers do. I'm not just saying us, but
Mhm.
we really focus on that. Not only because our thing is the best piece of equipment you have is you, right? I mean, you're
Right.
the best
You
thing in
felt
that environment.
what you
Um,
feel, and then what you can demonstrate has changed in the environment, whether it's
ex-
the temperature, the humidity, vibration, whatever. So anything that's going to delve a little deeper into that, I absolutely love.
well, and that's what I'm saying. And I think a lot of his devices incorporate all of that. So
Mhm.
you're sort of getting the whole thing. So I just found that
Well, let me ask
incredibly interesting.
Christina. Let me ask you a question. You go into an environment, right?
Mhm.
And you're in there, and something happens. Whatever happens that you experience.
Mhm.
When you're experiencing this, are you thinking about how is this happening? Is there photons? Is there energy? Is the EMF spectrum? None of that crosses your mind, right? You are
Nope,
just
not a bit.
in the moment.
I'm in the moment and experiencing
Exactly.
it. Mhm.
I'm on the outside. I don't get to experience what you experience, Christina. I am trying to rationalize something that's irrational and come up with
Makes
how can
sense.
I give other people the experience that Christina's having. That's my thing.
Right.
Can I overcome our limitations that Christina does not have? Can I give someone else the ability to maybe overcome those limitations that they weren't born with? Or maybe they have, they're just untapped.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what I do.
I love that. Perfect analogy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, giving people that experience that maybe don't have that ability to do that, or like you said, haven't tapped into it yet. Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait till we get ours. We've got a great place. We'll be trying it out. We'll be trying it out at Randolph County Infirmary. Hopefully, if it's here in time. So that would be a wonderful location to be able to do that at. We're also going to be at Stone Mansion, but we do have a lot of places here in the public, and that's kind of what I want to talk about here real quick. Look around us that we do publics at. Now you can customize these a little bit if a customer has specific needs. Like I know just today I shot you an email about there's a couple of frequencies that I'm really hoping that we can avoid, but maybe we don't need to. I'm leaving that up to your expertise, but there is some room there for people to customize, right?
Yes, there is. I can put in any and all frequencies. Let me give you an example. Kevin Hart has several of my devices, and some of them is like, I only want these 50 frequencies, nothing else. Okay, no problem. Another one, he's like, okay, you go from 75 megahertz all the way to 110 megahertz. I'm like, yeah, that is, no. On his, he wanted 2 direct links. I go from 50 megahertz all the way to 149 megahertz.
Oh wow, okay.
That's 9,980 frequencies. He's like, can you split them in half and put half in one direct link and half in the other? Whatever you want, boss. You know, you write the check, I'll do it. Little buffer in there. So he got around, let's just say 4,000 and something frequencies in one and 4,000 and something frequencies in the other one. What he's experiencing is he'll set those two side by side. They do not scan the same frequencies. He will start them scanning. A sentence will start in one and finish in the other one.
Oh wow, yeah. See, that's
They are
incredible.
not even scanning the same frequencies.
That's amazing.
So when someone says, well, what do you recommend? I'm like, whatever you want, man. There is no recommendations. If you come up with it and the conditions are right, it's either going to work or it ain't going to work.
Right.
You may take one of my devices and get nothing for an hour. Put it in its case, and the next week go somewhere else and just, it won't shut up.
Right.
It's nothing from one of my direct links to not say a word. That You can go on an investigation, it doesn't say a word. Why? I don't know. Me personally, I'm like, well, they probably didn't have anything to say, or there was just no one there that wanted to talk. Whatever.
Right. Right.
But there's other times it will talk. 9 times out of 10, it's relevant. But I'm more than happy to work with a customer and either add or subtract any and all frequencies that they don't want. I can do that. It's harder subtracting them than it is adding them.
Okay.
Adding them is pretty easy. I just make my band. Subtracting certain ones is a little more difficult, but it can still be done. But I am limiting FM frequencies anyway.
Right.
So, but here's the thing, and this really pisses people off. I have videos on Facebook. My boxes will pick up AM stations.
Wow.
Every spirit box will pick up AM stations.
Right.
AM station, I got 3 acres on the bay here in Maine. Right across from me, I could see the tower of the AM station. My ghost box, my DRV, which picks up no FM whatsoever, can be scanning, and I can hear what they're talking about on the AM station if I put that in just the right spot.
Right.
Here's what makes people mad. I have videos on Facebook of my video recorders doing the
Exact same thing.
Not video, audio recorders.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm supposed to be catching EVPs on is actually catching an AM radio station and recording it.
Yep.
So with AM, which is line of sight, you have to be very careful. With AM frequencies. It could trick you into thinking you have an EVP when actually it was an AM station. AM is very much in.
And I'm
It
glad you
will override everything.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's an interesting point that we have, we don't hear enough in this community. I don't think in the paranormal we hear this enough. There are a lot of people that, and again, I am not in any way throwing off on people. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. It's just there's so many theories and there's so many different belief systems. But there are some people that are like, EVP is the holy grail. It's infallible. It's fallible. It's very much fallible, and you've got to do your due diligence. AM frequencies, military bands, aircraft in the area, all those things. So I'm glad you brought that up, being that you build these kind of devices and you have a really strong background in this kind of thing, because I don't think we talk about that enough, that there are things that can fool the EVP as well.
Yes, you got to look. Was it relevant? Well, he said red Corvette, and his brother's cousin's aunt's uncle's niece drove a red Corvette, and she dated him at the prom, so it's got to be him.
Right.
That damn far, and that wasn't an EVP.
Yeah, you're probably reaching at that point. Yeah.
You're reaching that far. Come on, man.
Absolutely.
There's enough unknowns out there, and there's enough amazing stuff out there. We don't have to reach.
That's right.
You
You don't
know,
have to force it.
That's right.
you don't need likes that bad on Facebook. Just
Exactly. Yep. Well, and that's the difference too between, researchers that are really trying to figure out what this all is, and thrill seekers. And hell, we all started out as thrill seekers. I mean, everybody, when they first got into this, were like, oh, I want these experiences. But there's this turning point for us all, I think, that it's still fun and we still enjoy those experiences, but that gets replaced with a genuine quest for what exactly are we talking to, and why are we talking to these things, and can we tie them to what's happening here? Is it human spirits? Is it history? Is it transdimensional? I mean, we could go on for 4 or 5 hours about all those different things, but
well, since time is irrelevant, because time does not exist. Time is a man-made construct. It doesn't
absolutely.
exist. Have you ever had a spirit box say something in a voice that either sounded like yours or someone else in the room?
Yes.
Yeah.
More than once.
Relevant. How do you know that that wasn't photons that left your brain either in the past or the future, and your ghost box picked it up and relayed it back to you, or one of the other investigators in the room? Once again, time is irrelevant.
That's right.
It's
That's absolutely true.
man-made construct, so we feel better, so we can go along. So you could be talking to yourself in the past, present, or future, or you could be talking to one of your other investigators in the past, present, or future, or you could be talking to ET. We don't know.
We don't know. Yep.
We have no idea. And that's the excitement, isn't it, bro?
Exactly. That's what keeps us going back. That's what keeps us going and going and going.
Trying to figure it all out.
Yeah.
But
And-
real figures is fun. You know what? If you just want to do it on Friday and Saturday night, by all means.
That's right.
I love to golf. I golf every Sunday that I get a chance. I suck. But I love it. But I'm not also trying to go on the pro tour either.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I can't go golf. Just
That's
because,
right.
So do what you love and do as much or as little of it as what feeds your soul, baby. And that's
Absolutely.
all.
There you go.
Be
That's
happy.
it.
None of us are right, none of us are wrong.
That's right. And sometimes I kind of hope we don't get all the answers, because once we get all of the answers, just what the hell are we going to do then? See, I don't golf. So what am I going to do when we get all the answers? I mean, what's left then? So I think that's that constant quest for what is out there is what keeps us on that precipice, always trying to push further and always trying to take it to the next level.
I believe one day we will have all the answers. And for those non-Christians out there or with different views who think that when we leave here it all turns black, even if you're right and it all turns black, you still got your answer. So
That's right.
we will all have the answers one day. I'm just impatient.
I think we all are. That's why we're here. Yeah.
I believe the good Lord gave me the curiosity. He gave me a little bit of intelligence. He knew what he was doing. I think he'll rein me in if I get too far, for my family that's out there watching that, and no, I'm not burning anything at the stake. You laugh, but I'm telling you, some of my family think what I do is blasphemy. It is absolutely
Yeah.
forbidden.
Yeah.
So it does make some. All of us have family. We all have those issues,
Yep.
Yeah.
But mine, they're very. I'm from Texas, very
Yeah.
Christian, very, and I'm like, the good Lord gave me this intelligence, gave me this curiosity. He knows that I mean no harm. I'm just using the tools he gave me.
Yep. That's what free will is all about, you know? That's right.
He will send me a message, and he will stop me if should I need to stop.
Right.
I don't think I've gone too far, because I don't think some answers we will ever get on this plane. We're not meant.
Nope. We're not supposed to know. That's exactly right. Yep. I
Until we're
totally
done with
agree
this
with that.
plane.
Yep.
Yep.
We're
That's
just
exactly right.
whether we come back to this plane or we go to another one, or because I believe all these religions can tie in and do tie in together. It's possible we come right back here and do it again because we screwed it up the first time. That still doesn't mean I can't be a Christian just because I believe that he might send my butt back to, Daddy said go back, try again. So I'm going back, I'm going to try
Trying again. Yep.
So I'm not going to be so egotistical as to think that any one religion is above another one either.
Absolutely. And that's why they call it the great mystery, right? That's why this whole thing is the great mystery, because we don't know yet and we're not supposed to know yet. So I think that's the beauty of it. We're getting towards the last part of the show here. We got about 8 minutes. So a couple of things. First, I want to start with this statement that you are pretty far behind on devices. So if people watching this don't think that you could just run over there into his shop and to his website and buy a device, and understand that it's a very personal process. He's very far behind, so you might want to take the lead on that. I'm trying to point you in the right direction.
Thank you. I am. I'm always behind because I do make each device personal, as well as I have other things. I have children. I have a life. This is not 100% of everything I do in my world. But I do understand once the customer's paid their money, they should get 100% of it. They do. But it may take me time to do it. If I don't feel the device is working right or whatever, I will take longer on it. 2020 is a crap storm.
Yes.
Getting parts, getting material. I got stuff that I ordered back in February I still do not have in my hands yet.
I believe it.
And a lot of things, unfortunately, are not made here in the United States that as builders use. There's only a few places to get them in the world, and we have to get them.
Yep.
We have to get them there. So 2020 has put me behind in the shipping department too, getting things in that I need. But I'm usually running behind anyway. But right now I'm about 2 to 3 weeks behind, farther than I really want to be. But if you want a device from me, I will eventually get back to you, but you have to send me an email. But until we talk on the phone, and I don't care if you're in New Zealand, Australia, the Philippines, we're going to talk on the phone. We're going to figure out what's the best device for you, and that's the device I'm going to build. And it's yours from that phone conversation till the end. That device belongs to you.
And I know that's already 100% true, because I sent an email and told them about what we were looking for and kind of what we do and why we're a little different, what's special or unique to us that we needed. And within a day, he had gotten back to me. And like I said, we had this great phone conversation. So I really think that's what makes your customer service unique too. It's important to have that kind of connection with stuff when you're building something as intricate as this. That's a very unique personal touch, and I certainly appreciate that.
Let me show you my age. This is or you're going to leave a message I'll send you an email back. You're going to get the number that rings at that phone right there. And you're going to talk directly to me. And we're going to have a conversation and we're going to figure this out. And if I don't answer that phone, you'll leave a message on it. And that's my office phone. And that's just how I do business.
I love
Do
that.
do you still have an answering machine attached to this thing?
Yes, sir, I do.
Yes. Oh, wow.
My kids could find me. That's all this little phone right here is for. My kids can find me. I shoot videos on it. That's it. There's probably Wi-Fi on there, I'm sure, but I don't use any of that. That phone over there is what I use, and it's just, and you know what? I enjoy what I do. I love it, and I'm happy with it, and I'm not going to change it because I did go through a divorce a few years back, and during that time, I couldn't build anything, and if I did build it, it was crap.
Energy wasn't right. Yep.
Very much a part of, even though I had no abilities, my abilities that I did have were crap when my mind and my heart and my soul were crap. I couldn't build nothing.
And that makes sense to me because, I mean, you obviously deposit a lot of your energy into this. That's very clear in what you're doing. So
I think so. I think so. So I need to be pure, not pure. None of us are pure. I'm far from pure. But we need to be in a clear state of positive mind. And I don't know what all the words are for it, but when we're doing certain things, you
Yes.
really don't. And I'm sure that this goes along with people with abilities as well, or if you're on investigation sites and certain things, you don't want to go in there negative.
That's right.
Things that are negative in your life at the moment. You ever notice how when things turn to crap, everything else just keeps building and building and building, and you just get crap. And you're like, well, when's it going to stop? Well, when you slow down and you stop it.
Absolutely.
Stop.
Absolutely.
So our own worst.
Yep. That's it. And intentions is everything. And if your frame of mind isn't right, you can't be on your A game. That's for sure. Well, we've got about 2.5 minutes. And before we get ready to wrap the show, we have one fun question that we like to end our show on that we always ask every guest. And Al is going to ask it.
No, I have his answer. I already know his answer.
Wait, what? Okay.
You asked the question.
No, I want you to ask it, Al. This is your question. So,
if something was to happen to you, JW, and you pass away and you come back as a ghost, what would your ghost outfit be? And I have a great answer for you.
Baby, there ain't nothing else for me but my black hat.
Well, I'm going to say a white lab coat.
And I'm still going to have this black hat on.
I'm going to say a white lab coat with frizzy hair with a sidekick named Marty, because that's what I calm down. I'm going to ask you if you create a flux capacitor because you created all this stuff.
Do you drive a DeLorean? We've got to know.
Oh my gosh.
Well, everybody.
Black hat. That's what you're coming back in.
Black hat. I can see that because, I mean, even your logo's got the black hat. So that totally makes sense. I mean, I totally see that. But anyways, guys, we're down to about the last 30 seconds. So I'm going to get ready to wrap the show for the evening. Everybody who tuned in tonight, I know we had some from Malaysia, UK, and all over the place. So everybody that came on tonight, stateside or otherwise, we appreciate the love and support. And please give some love to JW here. Go check out his website, check out his Facebook, watch the videos, see the content and stuff that he's doing and putting out there. And as always, please be careful out there and enjoy what you do. And we will catch you guys next time.
Good talking to you.